So, hi everybody. We're starting to do a few little chats about relevant shibari subjects. This is one of the first ones, so we hope you enjoy it. Don't forget to like and subscribe and do all that good stuff that helps us on YouTube and so on. So, what we want to talk about today is really the first area is really what got us into shibari, and then we want to talk about a few other things concerning that, things that we discovered that were absolutely eye-opening to us, things that we discovered that were complete myths, and various impressions which I hope you'll find useful. What got you interested in shibari?
Okay, so pour moi, I have always been quite kinky and always been into gymnastics and aerial. And I just stumbled across, when I was very prolific in my aerial career, this beautiful image of this woman tied up in this, ballerina-esque almost position, back arch, the legs stagged. And I thought, oh my God, what the hell is this? It just matches up kink and aerial and gymnastics and the manipulation of the body so beautifully, and I just had to get into it. And I was very lucky actually that I met Bruce and Nina at the beginning of my journey. I went on the internet, on all these different forums, all over Facebook, trying to find somebody to tie me, and then I met you guys. We got on like a house on fire, and then boom, I'm working for them the next time I come and meet them. So
we were very rude actually. We didn't introduce Sophie, although I'm sure a lot of you, if you watched our tutorials, know her very well. And I guess most of you know my ugly mug, Bruce Esinem, and the lovely Nina. We worked together with shibari classes, and Nina started as my model and partner. And has since learned to time very well herself and teach.
Yeah, thank you.
So, yes, anyway, let's move on. What got me into it? Well, I suppose my knowledge of bondage was pretty minimal before I discovered shibari. It was really just four limbs to the four corners of the bed and fuck that, nothing really very sophisticated at all. And then a girlfriend showed me this magazine she had, a kink magazine. I forget the name or where it was from, but it had an article on shibari, and unusually for that time, so they were talking about the sort of deeper, more philosophical, the connective side of it, and the whole potential beyond just simply restraint. And I'm talking like probably 20 odd years ago, maybe even more now, when the knowledge of shibari was pretty minimal in the West. There was more misinformation than information, and certainly very few people were talking about the connective aspects or anything beyond restraint. So I was very lucky to have that sort of eye-opener, and then I stumbled upon another person who was preaching this gospel long before me, Midori. And I bought her book and again noticed that she was talking about how you tie, your demeanour, the little sort of games that you play, the interaction, and more than just the tying. And that inspired me to go to one of her workshops. And well, it's all history from there. I got a bit of tuition from people who had exposure to people like Osada Steve, and then picked up what I could from around the internet and people that I knew and so on, and eventually ended up going to Japan for tuition and so on and so forth. But anyway, that's another story. So let's move on to Nina.
Right. How I got interested in shibari? Well, I seen an image, just like Sophie. Just you see an image on the internet with this girl being tied. In my case, there was nothing about flexibility or gymnastics or anything. I really like the idea of being tired of being entrapped, of being captured. And I wanted to be the one that is captured. And unfortunately, I got captured. That's another story. And I think, yes, I like the psychology a lot behind the tie me and do something to me. So it was not about how the rope will feel on my body. It was about tie me to the four corners of the bed and do something to me.
Yeah.
And whatever you do, that would be fine. So I did like being in, oh, I cannot protect me,
The vulnerability.
The vulnerability.
The expiation of guilt as well. That's another thing.
Exactly. The challenge, the
I can't
daring.
do anything about these awful things you're about to do to me.
Yeah, exactly. I'm tired.
I'm a nice girl, really, but I can't protest. I should
like
protest, but now
I'm not
I
going.
can't. Now I can't do anything. Yes, I've written a bit about the various things that people get out of rope, and that's one of them definitely. That sort of removal of the guilt that you've been brought up with. That nice girls don't do that sort of thing.
Exactly.
And I think that's one of the things about rope is that it does encompass so many different areas. There's so much to it, but generally you only see that little bit that sticks above the waterline. It's like an iceberg. There's, you either see, let's say, the beauty of it or the idea of restraint.
Yes.
But what often isn't seen, I think, and it's one thing that we're all very aware of is how profoundly moving it can be if you use it as a language.
Yeah.
And I think that's one of the most important things that I've discovered learning about rope.
For me, it was mind-blowing. I was always very submissive, not so much now, but certainly when I first started shibari, I didn't think I had a dominant streak in me until I picked up a piece of rope.
That happens to me.
That was the switch.
Exactly the same happened to me.
But
There's a lot of it about.
It was just this release. It was almost quite spiritual, really. You're accepting what your body's going through. That acceptance is so profound because it is tough most of the time, shibari, it's hard. You're putting your body through some real challenges, and you kind of go through these different phases of like, oh shit, this is really hard. And then you calm your breathing down and you relax into it, and it's such a profound psychological process to go through. And you feel really strong. Well, I did, speaking for myself, you feel so strong in ropes because, fuck, what have I just done? Look what I can do. Look what I can put my body through. This is amazing. And it's that acceptance of pain, of vulnerability, and completely giving into it, and also putting that trust into somebody. Again, that's so profound,
Yes. And also learning how to trust each other, because it's a process that one as well.
Absolutely,
It's not granted. Nobody
No.
trusted you from the first second.
No.
It's something that we learn to...
You have to earn it, and...
Exactly.
I think that's the secret,
special.
certainly for...
I have to trust you as well. I have to trust that you're giving me the right feedback. And I have to trust that you know yourself well enough to give me that feedback. Because even if you do want to give me a good feedback, if you don't know you well yourself, you can't. And you cannot know well yourself till you're actually doing it. So you can experience and learn about those kind of things. So it
certainly is a dance of emotion, trust, and you get to learn your body.
Yes.
Well, I think the other important thing as a rigger is tuning in to what your partner wants at that time. Because some people, like you, like to be challenged. I know some people that if the session isn't painful,
it's pointless.
They don't feel they've had a session. It's been a waste of time. But for other people, what they're looking for is something perhaps very sensual.
And we can have an exception to this when actually simply the body changes from day to day. So, for example, I am in the mood for this now,
God,
but
yeah.
that's not going to be the case.
That's the same.
For me,
it's like sex.
exactly.
you know.
Yeah, you
One
know.
day, you want the soft, romantic rose petals
Yeah.
and blah blah blah. The next day, it's
Fist up your ass,
Well,
you know?
as you so delicately put it, Sophie. Yes.
I think we're going to beep that.
Yeah, we might have to put it for YouTube sensibilities.
But that was a good one, though.
Mind you, it's not a question of being monetarised or demonetarised. So hey.
Still.
What else did we have on there?
But you were saying about the... continue, actually. Sorry, I disturbed you. You didn't...
From day to day, the mood changes. Is that what we were talking about? I mean, certainly for me, my God, you know, sometimes I want to be really challenged and brutalised, but then there's days where it's like, no.
Sometimes you just have your period.
Yeah.
You have to take it slow.
Yeah, you know, I want to feel nice. Sometimes I don't want a suspension. You just want a kind of cuddle with the rope, and there's other times where you're doing it purely for a shoot. And it's like,
and
you know...
sometimes it's completely sort of very professional,
Yeah.
very...
You know, it's about what it looks like rather than how it feels for me. And, sometimes you'll go through a little bit more and more discomfort than you might do because you know that
It looks
stunning. Beautiful. And for me, you know, that's very important, is feeling beautiful in ropes. You know, if I feel ugly, it's like, it kind of takes
it's a balance, isn't it?
Yeah.
That you have to put in, you know, a bit more pain, but a bit more beauty.
Yeah.
Or a bit less pain,
Yeah.
but a bit more comfort. And then maybe
Yeah.
those are the, you know, if you want to have a session and actually making it very comfortable.
Yeah.
And actually, you know, enjoying probably maybe a bit more sexually.
Yeah.
You know, you don't have to make it beautiful.
No,
there.
no. It's about how it feels. There's all manner of ways to tie
And to
be
play with
tied.
shibari.
Yeah.
Indeed, when I started doing shibari, for me was more about, especially when I start tying, so not just as a model, but after starting to tie, it was more about the circus part of shibari. So it was not about the connection as much as how many beautiful positions can you achieve.
Yeah.
So I knew it was hard for the model, but I wanted to achieve that. And then with time, that a bit changed, because what I've discovered and I realized is the sexual part of shibari. And, well, going back to when I was modeling, I never thought shibari as sexual in a way. Though I wanted to be tied. When I was, for example, we were going to, I was performing with Bruce, I was his model, and we were going to different festivals, and the performance involved suspensions and transitions, and it was very much a performance.
Yeah.
But I never interpreted that as sexual.
No, and I don't think I did when I first started doing it, really.
Exactly.
Well, I think it can be whatever you want it to be.
Yeah.
I think that, you know, if you want to practice it as an purely artistic practice, if that's what rocks your boat, fine.
Absolutely. Exactly.
However, I think it's very wrong to deny the sexual roots of it.
Yeah.
Because in Japan, from my experience anyway, it's either something that's performed more often than not in places where they do strip shows and similar things.
Yeah.
It's done for erotic entertainment. Certainly in videos, that's the purpose.
It would involve as well, like candle on the skin and whipping, maybe.
Yeah, SM and
Hot
but,
dogs and all
Hot-
sorts.
I mean,
Yes.
even some of Nureki's early tutorials. You know, the student got a job or something as a reward for a good, well done tie. You know, it was a combination of tutorial and
That's incentive, isn't it?
So yeah, no, it's undeniably got very sexual roots, but by the same token, it's being taken into all sorts of areas. I mean, like Kinoko's tying buildings, for example.
Yeah.
You know,
Stunning.
amazing artwork, but couldn't be further from sexual.
Yeah.
So yeah, whatever you want to make of it.